But here with Asif Akbar and Vince McDaniel, director, writer, actor. I mean, basically got the whole cast and crew right here. So how you guys doing?
All right.
So I guess I'll start off with you both have written on this, and you both come from different backgrounds as far as writing goes. As far as I can tell, Asif, you know, more behind the scenes, and Vince more in front of the camera. What's kind of the writing process been like between the two of you?
Well, Vince brought the script to me about 8 years ago when we first started working together on several other projects, and this was one of many that he had written with his writing partner Hank Bird. At the time, they had a first draft, and then over the years we developed it more and broadened it to be, inspired by many different true crime stories, even though, the central story is inspired from the West Mesa murders. And from being from Albuquerque, I'll let Vince, tell you more about his experience and what inspired him originally as well for it.
Yeah, so myself, I knew some of the victims involved, and I know the Albuquerque streets well. I wasn't always on the straight and narrow myself, so I brought a lot of the experiences from those days, and we just incorporated those things into the script. And we just wanted to um,
Bring the rawness of this, the stories and the environment that we were
yes,
portraying
bring it
from that
bring
time.
it all to the forefront, and also just keep the story alive at the end of the day. And I think that's what we're succeeding on right now.
Vince, knowing some of the people involved, does that put extra weight on your shoulders to make sure you get this right? Because at the end of the day, it is a movie, so I figure you have to make some changes to what happened in real life, but you also want to stay true to the story. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, we had to take consideration of the people that are involved, of course, and we want to show everybody in a good light, especially for the families. We didn't want to do anything that was going to degrade or uh, be in bad taste. So we took that into consideration, and just wanting to be able to tell the story in a way that people understand what happened and what's going on, and um, they're able to take from this the awareness that these things can happen to anybody. A lot of us are one check away from being homeless and in the streets and having to go through nefarious things to pay the bills. So, it's something that a lot of people can relate to as well.
And we had to humanize the characters, and even with the victims in the film, we took some theatrical liberty in recreating most of the victims and the characters to fit the narrative and also kind of stay true to the real life victims at the same time. But at the end of the day, I mean, they were human beings themselves, and we had to make that connection with those characters in the audience.
Um, I don't know if I can cut this if I shouldn't ask this, but I will. Uh, the ending, I guess. I'm trying to figure out a way to dance around this, but there's a certain hurdle you have to clear with that ending. Um, is that something we can talk about, or should I just move on to something else?
Yeah, I guess you could talk about maybe not like what happens at the end, but like how we had to handle, showing a serial killer that's almost faceless.
Yeah. Well,
Is that what you're trying to get
yeah,
to?
yeah, pretty much. So I mean, what was all the ideas and uh kind of stuff going into that?
So what's interesting about what happened with the West Mesa murders case was that once it became national and the FBI got involved and it became a national serial killer investigation, the departments went back and revisited a lot of, open cases that were cold cases at the time that were never really investigated properly or overlooked. And so they started um, finding more and more suspects that would relate to the Boneyard, the West Mesa murders case and other cases across the board nationally. So they were able to bring a lot more, you know, um, resources to help solve other cases, other murder cases, other serial killer cases. And so there were suspects across the board. And we kind of touch up on that here as well, where you don't really know who the killer is, and then until the end, and then there's another twist there to where, we keep it true to what really happened. And I guess the audience will be the judge of the horrific ending, because you do leave being, at least for me, I believe you're going to be leaving the movie being more scared than you were going into it.
Yeah. And you said this took like 9 years, and I know a lot of movies like take a while, but like what's some, because this story is really interesting, and it just seems like it'd be a no-brainer, like, yeah, just give us all the money, we'll make the movie. But clearly it's not that easy. What's some hurdles that you guys had to go over to get this movie made?
I think it was all about the timing, and over the years, we worked on the script, and it developed to be better and better, and we had it pitched to different companies. And when we were ready for it, we made the step in, approaching the actors, and Mel Gibson was our first actor that we approached. And that was my vision for that character, because we needed someone of his caliber to be able to bring the range that Petrovick brings. And his character is basically the backbone of the story. So once Mel came on board, he read the script and liked it, and once he signed on, things kind of fell into place, and it was just all about the right timing.
And
Exactly.
Vince, with as a writer and an actor, what's kind of I guess, like when you're when you're reading a script and you're trying to act it, I'm sure you try to dig into the character in a certain way. But when you're writing it, maybe a different part of your brain's going off. What's it like writing for a part that you will be playing?
It's pretty cool because you add the little intricacies of your character and your personality that you would like to incorporate in there. But um, one of the good things is I knew my lines. That was one of the biggest things because we had um, we during the schedule there was times that we had to shoot certain things at a certain pace, and if I didn't know my lines, we would have had a little struggle because we had to move kind of fast certain days. But um, I mean, it was fun. All I could say was it was fun being able to be a part of that process, incorporating writing, and then being able to be the character that brings that person to life.
And I think it was always natural to Vince as well, because also, he's had this in his head for so long with the character. I mean, from day one, even 8 years ago, we knew he was going to play Graham. And he also personally knows, law enforcement personnel that are similar to Graham, and those departments that have advised him along the way as well. So I think whenever we rolled cameras, he was naturally Graham, and more so than just knowing the lines, his, every movement, every, characteristic trait just naturally turned on like a switch, and he became Graham, which was easy for me as a director because, he was Graham from day one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give you a little history on that real quick. A lot of the guys he was talking about, like the law enforcement, I played semi-pro football, and I played a lot of football with these guys, so I was able to just talk to them and get a lot of information from them and become them at the end of the day. So that was just to add on to what he was saying.
And you probably get their kind of their cadence and way of speaking and little details in there, I imagine.
Yes, exactly.
So we got a what's in the box segment, And each week we got a box with a bunch of movies in it, and each week we'll pull one out to watch the following week. And these are movies that are either personal to you or a movie that's like, that one's really good and no one talks about it. What's a movie each of you would like to put into the box?
You know, I have one that's actually made by a famous director, but not talked about so much. And I myself, you know, didn't get to see it till I was later in film school, and I was blown away like why it's not being talked about. And I'll say it was Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown,
Hmm.
you know, which had a fantastic cast. It was, you know, a all around well-made film in every angle, but surprisingly, it's not really talked about. And I remember like when I first saw it and I came across it, I'm like, how come I didn't know about this movie? And that's the movie I can rewatch, you know, all the time. Every year I'll watch it once, just, you know, because it's timeless, and it made a lot of careers, you know, and but for some reason it's one of the most underrated Tarantino films.
That was a good pick. And Vince?
I would have to say South Central because a lot of people miss the story on South Central. It's a great film. It was written and produced and directed by my mentor, Stephen Milburn Anderson. He produced it with Oliver Stone back in the day. But it's a great story of a father breaking the cycle, the perpetual, uh, you know, prison pipeline situation that a lot of African Americans go through in South Central or in any parts of, any part of America that that has you know, lower income structures and people that are in these situations. That's a great film because it just hits a lot of notes on um, what it's like to be in that life and then breaking that cycle and then having to go back to get other people um to help save them from this lifestyle. So I would say South Central for me.
Nice. Actually, those would be a great double feature. But Asif, Vince, thanks for joining me. And Boneyard comes out July 5th. And yeah, congratulations, you guys made a banger.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Eric. I really appreciate it.